Hey, Wemberg World Entertainment, and as you know, Star Wars Starfighter is on its way from Shawn Levy and of course starring Ryan Gosling in the lead role this time round. And we now know, of course, that movie is taking place, I think it's after Rise of Skywalker. So we're starting to hear some interesting things about this, and one of the things that's actually come out may be a bit concerning, especially to people who are actually waiting for this movie. You know, all of two of you. But one of the things that he talks about is how he was pretty much advised to avoid legacy characters. Now, that kind of makes sense, being the fact that it's a sequel to Rise of Skywalker. Like, it's past Rise of Skywalker. Even though they're trying to say the movie's not a sequel, it kind of is in terms of the brand name. In terms of film, no, it's a standalone story. But he's also talking about something else, which is the concerning part, which is they've already done massive rewrites. However, the rewrites aren't for the entire movie, just the third act, which could even be more concerning when you think about the third act is really what has to stick the landing. But let's start off with the avoiding the whole legacy characters and stuff like that. And this, of course, comes from Kathleen Kennedy. So we'll have a look at this part of the article that talks about this stuff here at that park place, and then we'll see what he was saying about the third act. So according to hints from director Shawn Levy, his upcoming Star Wars Starfighter will be unlike anything fans have seen before. Levy is clear that the do something new mandate isn't something he demanded before coming on board, but is an instruction coming from Lucasfilm head Kathleen Kennedy to avoid legacy Star Wars characters. So you're seeing, she's basically saying, do something brand new so we don't have to rely on all these other characters that people know and would expect to see. But of course, you're talking legacy characters, and when you see legacy characters, you're thinking Luke, Leia, Han, stuff like that. You can't possibly do that in this movie anyway. You certainly are thinking of Rey and Poe and shit like that. So Levy told Vanity Fair he had been hoping to make a Star Wars movie since Disney acquired Lucasfilm in 2012. While waiting for a call back, he turned his efforts towards other projects like Free Guy, Stranger Things, and Deadpool and Wolverine. For anyone wondering, Stranger Things? He did Stranger Things? No, he was meant to direct season 5 and didn't in the end. Can't remember why he didn't, but he didn't. I have spoken about that in a few other videos. I do think it's funny that he's been praying and hoping to do it since Disney acquired it. It's like, why? So in August of 2022, Levy finally received a long-awaited phone call to adventure. So this is what he said, and he's talking specifically here about Kathleen Kennedy, saying, she said, I want you to do a Star Wars movie. I asked the obvious question, which one? What's it a prequel to? What's it a sequel to? And the immediate answer was, whatever one you want. Make it feel like your movies feel. It was just this incredibly empowering opportunity. So the article says, if that sounds eerily familiar, there's a reason for that. During promotion for The Acolyte, Kathleen Kennedy told the New York Times that after reading an early draft of the script in 2019, she had a message for showrunner Leslie Headland. You've written a great Star Wars show, now go write a Leslie Headland show. The end result was one of the biggest disasters in streaming history. Kennedy's similar instruction to Levy just a few years later to make whatever Star Wars he wanted, as long as it felt like one of his movies, takes on a different light in that context. However, Levy has proven himself in ways that Headland had not. Despite recent revelations on the astronomical spending on Deadpool and Wolverine, the movie was very popular with fans. Was it? And I may or may not do a video about the budget for Deadpool and Wolverine, because we've now found out, and holy hell, if this thing, and this is crazy to say, $1 billion movie may not have actually even made money. Insane, right? And if it did, it probably made about 2 million, if even. So this goes on then, and this is where he kind of talks about the legacy part. So during an interview on a podcast for the playlist, Levy suggested that Kathleen Kennedy has encouraged him to steer clear of the familiar legacy Star Wars characters. So he said, every time I've asked, should I use this character that was maybe in that movie, every time it's, you know what, people have seen that, do something new. So it's interesting that that's the approach they want to go with now, whereas every other thing they had the opportunity to do since they started making the movies and stuff was to shrink the universe. Like, you had Force Awakens, and then you think, okay, they're going to do these individual standalone movies in between. How are they going to expand the universe? And they didn't. Instead, they gave you the story of, oh, this is how the group got the plans for the Death Star. It's like, oh, so we're seeing a story we've heard about. Then, of course, what comes after Rise of Skywalker? Or not Rise of Skywalker, The Last Jedi. Oh, here's a Han Solo movie. And then everything they were talking about was all this stuff that was just going to be the universe we knew. They were not expanding it at all. But then we come to this interesting part where they're talking about the third act of Starfighter already being rewritten. And it says this is what he says in a video. There was something unexpected on Starfighter. It was, we had a whole different idea for something in the third act, and then things didn't align, and I was forced to come up with a new idea. And I'm literally right now shooting that section of the movie, which means they're already sounding it. Well, they can't be reshooting, but maybe, who knows. So he continued saying, and every day I'm grateful that the way I was supposed to do it didn't work out, because the new idea that it forced me to explore is so much better than the original idea would have been. The first few weeks of shooting, it felt like this oppressive sort of cloud over me, because every day they would come to me. It's 100 questions a day, and especially Starfighter. It's not a sequel, it's not a prequel, it's not legacy characters, and it's not in a period of time in the galaxy that's ever been explored. What this means is that we are inventing everything in the movie, and the desire to make design choices, character choices, planet choices, costume choices, droid choices, alien choices, all of it needs to feel Star Wars-y. Not Star Wars, Star Wars-y. Isn't that a kind of a dangerous phrase when you hear something like that? It's like, no, you'd want it to be Star Wars, not Star Wars-y. He also said, I'm freaking determined to not let any of it feel derivative or lazy copycat. Kathleen Kennedy told me, make it original. You pick the writer, you pick the story. Just make it feel like a Shawn Levy movie. Make it warm-hearted and fun and built for audience delight. So when you're hearing that, number one, that's very concerning to be told. Don't make it a Star Wars movie and you have to follow these type of rules in this universe. He's being told, you choose whoever, whatever, do this, do that, do whatever the hell you want. Make it a Shawn Levy movie as opposed to make it a Star Wars movie, but yeah, you can have your feel to it. You know, that'd be better to hear. But I'm curious now to what he means by what he had planned didn't align. That to me sounds more like it was it was something that was just so over the top that they were like, yeah, no, you're not doing that. Or two, it was to include somebody that maybe the actor or whoever, or maybe even the studio said no to the idea. Because it's a weird phrase that he says. You know, the third act and things didn't align and I was forced to come up with a new idea. So what was that? You know, how you must be had like started shooting this movie when things didn't align then. Because why would you be saying that now? We'd have heard about this earlier that we've already changed how the movie was meant to end. So are they shoehorning something in? Maybe the whole thing of it didn't align is the Ray movie, because there was rumors that Ray may appear in this and that he was going to bring this kid to Ray. Maybe it's the fact that Daisy Ridley has moved on. Maybe she sees the writing on the wall that, yeah, the Ray movie's not happening. And she actually moved on and said, look, I'm doing other things. Because she has signed up to start doing other things. And maybe because she's doing that, she's not available. So they've been forced into this rewrite. We don't know. Either way, it's interesting to see and hear that. So, as I said, it's strange to hear, like, hey, rewrite that, make whatever movie you want. That stuff, that's kind of like, uh-oh. But the idea of, to avoid legacy characters, it makes sense for the time period it's meant to be in. Again, when you hear legacy characters, you're thinking of Anakin and Luke and Obi-Wan and Yoda and all these people. You're not thinking of anyone from the Disney trilogy, so it makes sense. But what do you guys think? Number one, do you even care about this movie? And two, are you concerned if you are interested in the movie? Does this get you concerned that they're rewriting it already and stuff like that? Or at least changing the end? Do let me know what's your overall feelings about the whole thing. And with that, I shall leave it there for this one. So do like, share, subscribe, hit the hype button, check out memberships, help the channel grow, all that good stuff. Cheers, and I'll catch you in the next one.